Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Annie Puffett. I am the Director of Career Development here at Upper Iowa University, and I thank you for joining us this evening for another edition of our Alumni Speaker Series. We always enjoy having these conversations with our alums, getting to know their stories, their backgrounds, what brought them to the university, and of course, what they're doing since they have completed their degree and left the university. And so tonight, we are joined by Bridget Saffold. She is a 2020 alum from our nursing program online from Waterloo, Iowa. And so Bridget, welcome to our talk this evening. I look forward to getting to hear more about your story and what you are doing in your community with your organizations. So we are also joined by Dr. Duffy. Dr. Duffy, would you like to say a few words before we kick things off tonight?
Yeah, I just want to thank, first off, of course, I do want to thank Bridget. I know Bridget, she's done continues to have an outstanding career, and I think she's with the board member right there with Hawkeye Community College, and so which speaks itself for her success. So really want to thank her and also all the students there. I think that you're participating in this. You can always talk to these people, ask them questions, and you'll be there one of these days. And it's great when you can just get the experience and knowledge from others who can help you as you move forward from Upper Iowa University after you graduate. So thanks a lot to all of you that are attending. Really appreciate it. And same thing for any faculty or staff that are participating.
So yes, I would also like to add that if you have any questions this evening, as you are watching us live on the Facebook link, please drop them in the comments section of that page. I will be monitoring that throughout Bridget's talk, and I will be asking her those questions. This is also being recorded and will be placed on our Alumni Speaker Series page, as well as the link will also be on the Upper Iowa University YouTube page. And so feel free to check those links out once they become available for you as well. So again, any questions that you have for Bridget, please drop them in the comments and we'll be asking them of her as well. So Bridget, I know there's several things that you want to talk about tonight, but first, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much. So as you heard, my name is Bridget. I am a registered nurse, an alumni from Upper Iowa University. I currently work as a clinic supervisor here in Waterloo. I also do some community work through some nonprofit initiatives. I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, and so I just am enjoying life to the fullest.
Good for you. Let's just start off with what made you choose Upper Iowa to complete your RN to BSN degree?
Well, I chose Upper Iowa because of the flexibility of the program. As I said, I'm just a busy person. I work full time. I have a family, which I love and enjoy to spend time with. But because I did want to pursue my BSN, Upper Iowa gave me the flexibility to be able to do that online. So when I was out there researching, well, what opportunities are out there, what schools are available, I learned that Upper Iowa had a hybrid program, but they also had an online program. And so just looking at what fits my life the best, I chose Upper Iowa. The classes, I was able to maintain a set schedule to be able to meet the demands of the program, but I was also able to continue to work full time, and after earning my RN at Hawkeye, I was even able to start orientating into an RN role while I was pursuing my BSN. So the flexibility really afforded me the opportunity to be able to continue my education.
Absolutely. You graduated from Upper Iowa during the height of the COVID pandemic. As a healthcare worker, what kind of an impact did that have on you?
It made it, because it was an online program, I was able to continue to go to school when a lot of schools were shutting down. People were faced with getting used to doing classes online. I was already used to that. And so that was good for me, but just being able to focus and concentrate during COVID, during the unknown of the pandemic, being able to still show up at work for people in such a scary time, it was just a crazy dynamic, but because of the online courses that I was still able to stick to that program. I didn't miss a beat. The program never stopped. And I was able to continue on and be able to graduate during the pandemic. Now, I was pretty sad that graduation was canceled because I was really looking forward to graduation, because that would have been the first time I attended graduation since high school. And so I was really looking forward to that. But they still did an online graduation, and that was nice to be able to see myself on the screen and my degree and things like that. So, but it was just a difficult time to get through.
Now, Bridget, I want to let you know that anytime anybody who does not get the chance to go to the actual graduation, they get a second chance graduation. So you could come back at any graduation and join us for the official, like that in-person one too. Just to let you know that, in case you didn't know that, okay? And we sure are proud to have you as a graduate. Okay.
Thank you. That's awesome.
That's
awesome to give people that chance.
I was just getting ready to say that. So Dr. Duffy beat me to it. You talk about, being able to not miss a beat with your degree. Can you talk about the initiative that you started during the COVID-19 pandemic with Focus on Diabetes?
Yeah, so Focus on Diabetes, we actually started the initial program in 2015. But during the pandemic, we saw a greater need arise out of the pandemic. People were panicking. They were going to the stores, buying everything on the shelf, and there were people with medical issues that weren't able to get things that were necessities. Mm-hmm. And, all you heard on TV during the pandemic was, if you have these comorbidities, you're more at risk. And, people were really afraid to go out and search for these things. But I had a patient who had a kidney transplant, so very immunocompromised. But she said, I've been to 4 or 5 stores looking for alcohol preps because she needed some for taking her insulin or checking her blood sugars and things like that. And so, that really prompted me to do the Focus on Diabetes COVID-19 Assist program, where we were able to supply people with at least 60 days worth of diabetic testing supplies. We added things in there like hand sanitizer, which we knew was an absolute necessity during the pandemic, and still to this day. We were able to give people face masks, but we really pulled ourselves together as a program and tried to help people be able to stay safe during the COVID-19 pandemic.
What type of impact did that have on your community?
Oh, it went beyond our community. It turned into something so much bigger than just the area where I live. We mailed supplies to other states. There were people in other communities. So we actually went to Cedar Rapids and supplied people in the Cedar Rapids area. It was just so much bigger than just our community, trying to help people get through the pandemic. And even after the pandemic, people had a difficult time with not working full time. Their insurance benefits were different. Some people were not able to get back to work. So that need didn't stop, over that first year of the pandemic, because people still were in great need of testing supplies and just help to get through until they were able to get back to work. So we were grateful that we were able to even help bridge people until they were able to get back into the swing of things.
Can you share how Focus on Diabetes is helping to train the next generation of healthcare workers?
So Focus on Diabetes is 100% volunteer led. And so when you think about a volunteer-led organization, you have to really pull resources from a lot of places. And so we partner with the health students from ALUMNI College. We also partner with health students from Hawkeye Community College, but we give them the space to not only are they learning about nursing in school, but by volunteering at Focus on Diabetes, they're also able to learn about cultural competency. They're actually serving the community in a different environment, but they're also building their skills because they're doing things like checking blood pressures, glucoses, giving patient education and things like that. But beyond that, we're able to even connect our high school students or younger folks who are interested in healthcare careers. They too come and volunteer, but they get to volunteer alongside of doctors and nurses, and also with people who are currently students. So they get to learn about what that school, what that program looks like, what does it feel like. But then the part that I enjoy the most is that through this community service that they see that healthcare can be fun. You know, it's literally just such a fun environment, but in that having fun, they're learning so much. They're learning by doing maybe a diabetes Jeopardy game. They're learning what an A1C is. They're learning what's a normal blood sugar. So they're learning while having fun, but seeing that healthcare isn't, you know, you hear so many stories and, you know, especially getting through the pandemic, I think people were afraid of maybe healthcare careers. But they really come out and through service, they see what a rewarding career that healthcare can be.
If somebody wants to volunteer for Focus on Diabetes, how do they go about doing that?
Anybody can reach out to us either on our Facebook, which is Focus on Diabetes Facebook page, or through our email, which is also focusondiabetes@gmail.com. We welcome all volunteers, especially the younger people. I think it's important for them to realize that whatever career you choose, whatever profession you get in, that we really do have to be in service of our community if we want to see our communities thrive.
Absolutely. I will put the link to both the Facebook page and your email address in the comments on the live stream when we are done tonight. You talk about the next generation of healthcare workers and what Focus on Diabetes is doing. Can you tell us more about training that next generation of healthcare workers and how you feel Upper Iowa University is doing the same thing?
Well, you know, I'm very excited to see that Upper Iowa willingness to work with Hawkeye Community College and the program that they're starting to allow our students in the nursing program to be able to get their BSN within 3 years of being accepted into the nursing program. I mean, that's very exciting. I mean, there's a great need in healthcare to really train that next group of healthcare workers and get them into the workforce. You know, there was a lot of people who retired during the pandemic. There was people, again, who decided to just leave the profession altogether. So there's a huge gap to fill, but to be able to not only save money while you're getting a college education, which is a big deal, but also to be able to do it in the amount of time that the program is allowing you. I think that is huge for our next generation of healthcare workers, but Focus on Diabetes and through our mentorship that we do, we are able to kind of help them with a guided pathway that can lead them through, you know, we want them to get it in their minds that they enjoy healthcare and want to do healthcare when they're maybe middle school age. But as they get into high school, we have great programs here in Waterloo where they're able to go through the Career Center, do a lot of that work ahead of time, those prerequisites and stuff like that. But it really takes somebody to mentor them through it, guide them down a certain pathway, but also be available as they are entering into college to be able to be a support to them. Study groups are important, just being able to talk through the stresses of being a student. But I know for me, it was a huge help and very important to be able to have someone who I could call or sit down with to just kind of help me get to the next stages. And so I think that's really important for our next group of healthcare workers. Focus on diabetes. Actually, we have 2 that are in nursing school right now that were volunteers. One is in the dental program. There's another who, at first she's like, I don't know if this nursing is for me, but she is actually a secretary at a long-term care facility. So I always tell her, you still in healthcare, you still, it takes all of those jobs and all of those people to do the work. And so we really pride ourselves on the ability to be able to help those people see all the different parts of healthcare and be able to find a rewarding career.
Absolutely. You seem to take a lead role in community engagement and patient education. What are some other projects that you are doing in your community?
Oh man, how much time we have again?
As much time as you want, Bridget.
So over the past year, I've participated with a cancer steering committee here in Black Hawk County. And out of some of the information that I learned through that committee, Focus on Diabetes has now initiated what we're calling Project Health, which is a prostate cancer initiative. We just learned so much about how prostate cancer affect men, how the screening process isn't very clear to a lot of people, but it severely affects African-American men in a negative way. And so we have launched that in Black Hawk County. We're getting ready to extend that into some more of Eastern Iowa, like into Lynn County, Johnson County. But this year, we're going to kind of just go there and learn more from those men. They say a lot about participating in research and how difficult, people feel that sometimes it's difficult to get Black people to participate in these things. So we have been blessed to be able to reach those people who are directly affected by this disease and talk to them and kind of be able to put our heads together to do some interventions to improve those mortality rates in African-American men. So I'm pretty excited about doing more with that project. But just as we continue to grow and combine our forces, we continue to branch off, focus on diabetes. Like I talked about, the mentorship of the healthcare students. We're going to continue to do that, but we also continue to grow those relationships.
Absolutely. Displaying leadership and communication qualities is a beneficial attribute that can help in anyone's career, whether it's healthcare or anything else. As a healthcare worker yourself and a huge advocate for being a volunteer, what are some key qualities of a leader that you look for with individuals that you work with and that volunteer with you?
So one thing that I do look for is people that are eager to learn, because we're always learning. I don't care how much schooling you get, how much education, there's so many things that change technology-wise in treatment and things like that you always have to be eager to learn. Mm-hmm. So I like to take those people that are kind of a little bit shy, but let them through volunteering come out of that shell, that they're eager to learn, but they also eager to serve. I mean, people with a servant's heart, even if they're nervous and scared about doing certain things, that they still get out there and do it because they know the importance of the work. So I think the willingness to learn is a great leadership quality as well. Mm-hmm. I think that by volunteering at Focus on Diabetes, being able to talk to people, because everybody doesn't have that skill either. And so that's one thing that they do learn by volunteering is talking to people, but also listening to people, taking those questions in and being able to answer. And so these are qualities that you'll be able to use in any field that you go in any profession, but it is very important in healthcare to be able to not only have the knowledge and skills, but to be able to listen and to be able to communicate effectively back and forth with people.
Absolutely. Making connections and networking, also part of volunteering. Being able to make connections and networking with others is so important to be able to advance in anyone's field. What would you say is your biggest piece of advice for students looking to make connections, and how can other people do that?
So making connections, I would say, don't be afraid to ask. You know, if there is a project you're working on or a program you're starting up, you can't be afraid to ask a question. Even if that person doesn't have the answers, likely they'll be able to connect you to somebody that do. And so that's one thing that even I had to learn, because I haven't always been the person that would even ask for the things that I would need. But I had to really get used to saying, hey, this is an idea that I have, you know, can you help me with this? And learning that typically they'll get you to somebody that can help you. I'm learning that in my new role at my job is I'm learning. And so I have to a lot of times send the email, I'm not sure who this goes to, but if it's not you, can you tell me who? And so that's really how you start to make those connections, is by just simply asking someone. It could be that one person that you're most comfortable with, but you do have to a lot of times step outside the box, and you have to ask. And then through asking, you start to make connections with those who are the right people to be in the right place.
Absolutely. So within our Office of Career Development, we belong to NACE. It's the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And over the last several years, they have had core competencies of career readiness that employers and HR departments are looking for in new hires and new college graduates. And so it's a pretty important topic, career readiness is, in career services and employers across the country. There are 8 competencies that they feel are most important. What competencies do you feel are most important in helping individuals excel in their career goals, and why?
Well, I know one of NACE's competency is about equity and
Equity and
about
inclusion.
culture.
Yep.
And I think in the world that we live in the communities that we live in, we're so diverse. And, you know, when you working in healthcare, you don't get to choose who your patients are.
Right.
But you do need to understand your patients. So I think that is a huge competency that we really need to not only talk about and promote, but teach on, and really go back and talk about again and again, because it's so important to understand the person in front of you. I know they also talk about communication, which of course is important. I'm trying to think of what some of the other competencies were. Listen, I just learned about NACE at a board meeting that I was at
Really?
with a nonprofit program that I serve with. And we too were looking at some of those NACE competencies, we work with high school students, but also want them to get those competencies to be work ready.
Absolutely.
And so, but really for me, and I've experienced it not just as a supervisor, but as a nurse, you know, some of those cultural things, that's a big one for me. You know, health equity is really why I do a lot of this work. I've seen a lot of things while working in healthcare that, you know, sometimes people let their personal thoughts and feelings get into the way of doing the work that we're there to do. And so I think it's highly important to in working with others, that you have to be understanding and most of all respectful, but that also requires for you to learn something else about somebody else, you know?
Absolutely. You mentioned equity and inclusion and communication as being two important competencies. How would you encourage others in the healthcare field to improve those skills and improve upon those competencies?
One thing that I think in healthcare as a whole is we have to look at our leaders. And for one, you need to make sure that your leaders are as diverse as your communities are. I think that's where we start, that the people that are at the decision-making table has to be diverse as well, to be able to communicate to others some of those diverse qualities of other people. But that's hard to do if you don't have a person at the table who don't even understand all the diversity of different people. Another thing that I do think is there has to be some training included across the board. Whether it's how do I talk to a coworker, how do I respond in difficult situations. I think it does require sometimes for you to be the person that's looking from the outside in, and I don't know if people really do that in healthcare. Like you going so much that you don't take a break to look like as the person from the outside looking in on how things are going. But I definitely think you have to have a diverse staff. You have to be intentional about having that diverse staff so that you do have somebody to lean on. You might have to go ask her over here that because you didn't understand why somebody denied this. Or I know there was a time where it was a wife that was ill, but you had to communicate with the husband, but it was their culture. It was just, it's their life, how they live. And you had to do it that way and just understand that. But I may have had to ask somebody else, like, what's going on here? Like, we're taught to just talk to the patient and not the family, but it takes the diversity of even your staff to be able to even understand those dynamics.
All right, thank you. Are there any final pieces of advice tonight that you have for our students, the university community, our alums, as we wrap things up with you this evening?
I would say, for those people out there that are thinking about school, thinking about going back to school, to really consider looking at program like Upper Iowa. Really, it does give you the opportunity. They give you the staff that you can reach out. They're accessible, but it really does afford you the opportunity to meet your goals. I would also say that I love nursing. I love healthcare. I also too love volunteering. So in any ways that you can serve your communities, that you can just look around and see what those needs are, that you always can use your skills, whatever they may be, to serve others. And I think that's how we just create better communities, better lives, just better environments to live in, is that we really do have to look at each other, look and think of ways that we can help serve each other. I appreciate you guys having me tonight. I'm grateful for the experiences that I had at Upper Iowa, and I'm super excited about working together with them through Hawkeye.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you, Bridget, for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful to chat with you and hear a little bit about how volunteerism is so important to you and how it is able to align with what you are doing in the healthcare field and in your opportunities day in and day out. So again, thank you for joining us this evening. And I would like to thank everyone that is watching us through the Facebook Live. I encourage you to tune in next month when we are joined by another alum that will discuss their opportunities that they were able to have at Upper Iowa and what they are doing. So again, thank you everyone for joining us and have a great night. All right.
Thanks a lot, Annie, and thanks a lot, Bridget. Very good. And Bridget, we'll be talking to you some more, okay?
Okay.
We'll stay connected